Hey, what's up guys? My name is Pete.
And I'm Michelle.
And together we own a small business, Fuentes Photo and Video. We specialize in couples, engagement shoots, weddings, and elopements.
And today we're going to be talking about how we work together as a couple because we are a husband and wife team.
And before we get started guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Alright, now let's get to the video. So in our business guys, we each have a set of responsibilities. For instance, I'm going to go down a list of all the things that I have to do, and then afterwards Michelle's going to go down a list of what she has to do. So my responsibilities are to make sure that I do as much research as possible on equipment before I buy it. This is really important guys because you want to make sure you get equipment that works for you and your business. The equipment that I get is not necessarily the same as somebody who's in architectural photography, travel photography, landscape photography, macro photography like for jewelry and other items. So I get equipment that is specifically needed for our business.
For weddings, for couples photography.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I also handle the purchasing. So after I do the research, I do purchase the equipment. I purchase not just cameras, I also purchase lenses, SD cards, flashes, the computers that we use, any of the drives that we need for storage, and actually just a whole slew of things. Like I would need like a gigantic list to really like pull it all up, but like tripods, there's so many things, lights.
He's in charge of all of our equipment. He makes the final decision on what cameras we're going to purchase, what lenses we're going to purchase, what computers we're going to purchase. He does all of that.
Absolutely. The next thing on our list is going to be finances. So that means profits, expenses, tax write-offs, as well as pricing. So I'm in charge of all of that. I figure out what we can write off, what would be the best equipment for us to write off. And both of us actually keep a log of our profits and expenses. Mostly she does the profits. I normally log the expenses.
He spends the money, I make the money.
That's funny. All right, so moving on to the next thing I do, guys. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I do the video editing. So all the videos, including the video right now that we're making right now, filming currently. So I do handle YouTube. I handle any of the videos that we send out to our clients. And I also handle picking out what software we're going to use. So I use Adobe Premiere Pro. And that's pretty much it for video editing. It's pretty straightforward. I also pick, music and things like that.
He's always the one that comes up with the songs for the music video, for the videos, for our YouTube channel, everything having to do with video editing.
Right, so I pick sound effects and music and then mixing all the sounds together in the video. So yeah guys, the next one is education, and what I mean by that is I have to learn a lot about photography and videography, so techniques, any type of new editing methods, transitions. And all this education that I get, I transfer it over to Michelle, and she learns more about her camera and more about composition techniques and whatnot, and how to use things like gimbals and things like that. So
yeah, Pete was a photographer for 3 years before I got into it, so he definitely knows a lot more than I do, and he's constantly teaching me. So
another thing that I do, guys, is that I handle all the equipment, and what I mean by that is that I make sure that it's all charged, that the batteries are all charged, that the lenses are clean, that the cameras are clean. So kind of just like maintenance really too as well on all of our equipment. So
you also make sure we have all the equipment we need for every single shoot. He's the one that packs up our bags for us, gets everything ready.
Right, so I make sure we have enough backups for anything, for any situation. Okay, and I also make sure we have like little tools and things like that. Like I always carry like a Swiss Army knife with a multi-tool just in case we need anything. So
he's prepared, which we have needed the knife in one of our shoots.
Yeah.
So it's come in handy.
So I'm the prepper. All right, and now we're gonna move on to Michelle's responsibilities.
Yep. So I'm in charge more of marketing. I used to work in in fashion PR, and I also work for a social media company. So it just kind of made more sense for me to handle all the marketing for our business. So when I talk about marketing, I talk about all of our Facebook ads, our Instagram ads. I talk about social media. I handle all of the social media. I schedule all of our Instagram posts, our Facebook posts. I even upload our YouTube videos and find out a good title. I come up with the titles for all of our YouTube videos and the description and the SEO. I'm also in charge of photo editing and culling. So after we do a shoot, I'm the one who goes through all the photos, edits all the photos. That's my job. How Pete does all the video editing, I do all of the photo editing. I'm also in charge of the bookkeeping, like we said earlier, more for the profit. I'm the one who receives the payments. So whenever we do receive a payment, I put it into our spreadsheet that we have. I'm also in charge of our website. I'm the one who put together our entire website. I'm in charge of making sure all of the pictures are up to date. I also write all of the blog posts on our website. I also wrote all of the copy on our website because I'm just a better writer.
Yeah.
And I have a lot more experience writing.
I'm a terrible writer.
So that's why I do all of the writing for the captions, for the website, for our blog posts. I'm in charge of all of that. Everything having to do with the website, that's my job. I'm also in charge of the contracts. So we actually bought like a template for a contract, but then I went in and put things specifically for us. So I'm in charge. I made all of our contracts, and I also am in charge of sending it to our clients whenever we book a shoot. I'm also in charge of invoicing. So all the invoices you receive were made by me. I also keep track of when I need to invoice clients because most of our clients have 3 payments for their weddings. So I have it like all scheduled out in my calendar on when to send their invoices, when we should be receiving payments. We're eventually going to invest in like a CRM program, but we haven't yet. So I am the CRM program and I keep track of all of that. I'm also in charge of emails. So whenever we receive an inquiry, I'm the one responding to you. I respond to clients' inquiries. I also book the shoots, so I'm always looking at our calendar, seeing what dates were available, and I'm the one that actually books the shoot with our couples. I'm in charge of sending the wedding questionnaire. So we have a questionnaire we send to our couples about a month before every wedding. I am in charge of sending that out, and then I create our photography timeline for the wedding after we receive the questionnaire. It's a pretty important thing to have for the wedding day. I also set up all of our meetings. So we have usually phone call or Skype meetings with our couples before we book them for weddings. I'm the one in charge of setting that up with them. I also get all of their information, and like right before the meeting, I'm like telling Pete like so-and-so,
Right.
they're looking for this date, blah blah blah.
She briefs me right before.
Yeah, give you like a brief of the meeting right before. Another thing I'm in charge of is graphic design. So our little covers for all of our YouTube videos, I made all of those. I'm in charge of making like our pricing guide. I'm about to make like a wardrobe guide. I do all of that. I used to have a lot of experience doing that with social media, so just made sense for me to take that over.
Of course.
I also send all of our galleries. So I put all of our galleries into a program called PickTime, and I send that out to our clients. I'm also in charge of PickTime has like their own like email sequence, like an email marketing sequence, and I'm in charge of putting that together for each of our clients as well.
So now we're going to talk about what we both do, guys. So we both shoot photo and video. We're both behind the camera. We're both taking pictures. We're both recording video, filming.
We also both go on every shoot. So whether you're having an engagement shoot with us or a wedding or an elopement, we're both there always.
Good. Both of us.
Yes. So since we're both on the shoots, we're both going over prompts. We're always studying different poses and different prompts to give to our couples to make them look as natural as possible.
We also come up with promos, guys, for our videos, just ideas in general. We both have ideas of what to what marketing strategy we're going to use. So we'll come up with little ideas like our COVID-19 discount, our summer love one that's coming up now as well, our mini shoot sessions.
Yeah.
So we normally just get together, brainstorm, and think about what ideas are going to actually work and which ones aren't.
Yeah, so I'm in charge of actually implementing the marketing, but we both come up with the ideas. We come up with all the promos and all the video ideas for YouTube. We sit through a bunch of ideas together and come up with a schedule for our YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. We also both make the final decision on the galleries and the videos that we end up sending to our clients. So when Pete's done with a video, I'll watch it. And then I give my input and what I think should be edited, and then we both have to agree before it's sent to a client.
Right.
Same with the pictures. When I'm done editing the pictures, Pete looks at it and takes out whatever pictures he doesn't like, and tells me if there's something weird about a picture and it should be edited out. And then we both make the final decision before we send it to the client.
Now, at first, guys, it wasn't always like this. At first, we had a lot of disagreements because there was like zero structure. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of all over the place, and it was like, hey, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, and Michelle would get upset at me because I wouldn't help her with marketing, but I know nothing about marketing.
Yeah.
So I told her, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. And then she would say, all right, I guess you're right. And she said, all right, I'll handle the marketing myself because it makes sense that I'm stronger at this than you are. It's the same thing. I don't really make Michelle edit videos or anything like that because I know she doesn't care for it either. And I like it. I enjoy it, and I've been doing it for a while, and it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense that I would do it because I have more experience.
Yeah. So what we did, we got into a lot of disagreements in the beginning of the business. Not only were we newly married, but we literally got married and started a business within 3 months, and got a puppy. And it was our first time living together. Yeah, we moved in together too, like officially. So it was a lot of things going on at once. And it was a lot of disagreements at first, mainly with the business. So we kind of just sat together one day and we were like, okay, what can we do to stop arguing about different aspects of this business? And so we sat down and I said all of the things I was strong at, and then Pete said all the things he was strong at, and we decided to play to our strengths in this business. And he had his responsibilities, I had my responsibilities, and we don't really get in each other's way. He knows what he's responsible for, I know what I'm responsible for, and we're adults and we both want this business to work, so we're not each other's boss.
Right. So
we're partners in this.
Yeah, so if you're also a newlywed couple that's working together, I would try to structure everything out first and not make it a competition so much about who does more and who does less, because for instance, right now I still work like 40 something hours a week, like 42, 48 hours a week, so sometimes I can't do as much for the business, and Michelle could actually do more. And that's
why I do have a lot more of the tasks on my plate now, because I do have a part-time job as well, but it's from home and I don't work as many hours as Pete does. So I have more time to work on the business. So it just makes more sense for me to work on the business more. That's also why I set up all of the meetings and I'm talking to the clients, because I'm always at home on my computer, on my phone, where Pete does not have access to his computer at his job. So we also had to figure things out like that in this time of our business, that I should be doing a little bit more than Pete does, but things will change once you end up quitting that job.
Yeah, once I can put 100% into the business, that will definitely change things up. We're going to have to figure out how to really balance things out between us. So
yeah, definitely. And I'll have to teach him more of the admin stuff that I do.
Right. I have to learn more of that. Exactly.
Yeah. One thing we found out that really works for us and keeps us on track and helps us stay in sync to what's going on in the business is we have weekly meetings. We usually have them every Sunday, and we just go over what we have going on in the week, what weddings we have coming up, what inquiries have been coming in, what we have planned for YouTube, what I have planned for marketing, where we're at with our promos. We just have like a little meeting that lasts about an hour every Sunday.
Also, like if we need new equipment maybe for a new job, because that does happen at times where we're doing a bigger job and we need more lenses or cameras or whatever.
Yeah.
So
we also try to keep our marriage separate from our business, which is a really hard thing to do.
It's hard. Yeah.
When you work with your spouse, it's really hard, and we had a hard time at that at first, and I think that's why we used to argue so much about the business, because we were putting it into our relationship as well. So one thing we had implemented before coronavirus happened was that we would try to go on a date once every week or 2 weeks, and we wouldn't talk about the business at all.
Right. Also, another thing too is that it also depends, because Michelle's much more organized than I am, and she likes to have keep track of everything, like all the bills, and like I would always keep track of that in my head, and she absolutely hates that because it's the complete opposite of what she does. But I was okay, like I could keep track of all my bills in my head. That's just me. That's just how I am. Same thing with, sometimes I could do math in my head really fast, and she doesn't trust it. She's like, hey, write it down. And I was always like, oh, I got it. But I mean.
So I found out, since Pete doesn't really do those things, I just keep track of it myself, and that's another way we don't argue anymore about that either, because he's totally different than I am. He definitely has more of a creative brain than I do. I'm more organized and structured, and that's how we make it work.
You need both, I think, in the business. So it's really important that one spouse does take over like the clerical work and one takes over the creative work. It actually balances out and works really, really well. Yeah, it does. Another thing we had to be very aware of is how we were talking to each other when it came to our work, because he is my husband. He's not a coworker. So when he was editing a video and I hated something, I'd be like, this is horrible, I hate it. And he would take that personally, because it's his work. So, and I would never say that to a coworker, you know what I mean? I only said it to him because he's my husband. So we had to be very aware of the way we talk to each other and really treat our business like a partnership. Right. And not like a spouse. Yeah, exactly. We really try to keep it separate from our marriage, and it doesn't always happen because our business is our life now, and we talk about it all the time. We're literally thinking about it every moment of the day, but it works for us. It works. Yeah. Also, guys, at the beginning, I was very, very impatient with Michelle, because obviously I'd been behind the camera more, and I thought that she had already, absorbed all the information that I would just teach her. I thought she had it right away, and that's really not fair, because she had just started, and I can't expect, I can't hold her up to my standard in that sense, because I've been doing it for so much longer. So I was a little mean at first, and I would kind of rush her and tell her, hey, put it on this setting. Hey, you're doing this wrong. Hey, like that. You know what I mean? And that, I could imagine, was pretty annoying, and I'm pretty sure she got frustrated with that. Definitely. But with marriage and with business, it just takes communication. Right. We are really good at that. When he does something that really upsets me, I tell him right away. And when I do something that really upsets him, he tells me right away. We don't let it fester and build up into these huge fights. And that's why that's a really important part of our marriage, and it's become a really important part of our business too, because it is so important to be communicating and discussing things, because this is a partnership, and I need to make sure I'm happy with the decisions we're making as a business, but Pete's happy as well. Right. And yeah, guys, so if you are just like us, you are a couple, or even if you're best friends working together, anybody or a family member working with another family member, just know that it's perfectly normal to have disagreements and maybe even get into take things personally. It's not something strange. Don't think that your work relationship is terrible or that your marriage is terrible just because you're disagreeing. It's perfectly normal. Guys, once again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments you want to make, go ahead and make those comments down below. And we enjoyed making this video. It was a little different. It was a little more personal. And if you want to see more videos like this, just let us know. So we'll see you around. Bye. Bye. And now we're going to talk about what we both do, guys, as a team. We both shoot photo and video, which means that we both handle the cameras. We both take pictures. We both... I thought I turned that off. Oh, I didn't turn that one off. I was doing that just fine.